God damn! I love that song. In case you don't know, this is actually the course in Chapter 8 featuring Deathborn in GX's story mode. God, I only wish this course was made for Grand Prix mode. I would really love that. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of F-Zero Ending It All. Last time, our heroes have managed to rescue Jack and Lucy from Dark Million's thrall. So, we just found out that Dr. Clash is actually going to be in the next F-Zero race. So, our heroes managed to press on. And will they hopefully vanquish all the clones made by Blood Falcon? Whether it be made by the Skull or Dr. Stewart or even Clash himself, which I'm sure is responsible for making the enhancements of the machines. So, with all that said, let's get going. Alright, lap 9. Before I forget, I want to make a quick mention to the awesome discovery I found recently. There's actually the intro. Actually, you found out already. So let's get this going. So Rick, Tinsel, and her allies killed 2 birds with 1 stone. They managed to reunite with Jack and Lucy in 2 consecutive races. With the duo as official members of the task force again, the pilots come across another former ally. Perhaps a tragic end. By the next race, it was just enough time for Jack and Lucy to leave the hospital. They were so enamored they just returned home since God knows when. The former rocker was glad to be back in his messy room while Lucy was thankful to be in hers, complete with makeup, some small tools, and fan memorabilia. Even Rick and Tinsel were also easing up a little now that their family is in the process of unity. Once they were settled, Lucy gave them the lowdown. I feared that Dr. Clash would be there. I can't be in the next race. I just can't race against him. He's too important to me. Please bring back Dr. Clash in one piece. Don't worry, Lucy. We will. We will. Of course, we must be careful since the crazy bear has high body strength and boost. Damn scrolling. I don't like this. Clash is an expert when it comes to machinery. All 4 of the officers knew from the get-go that he would make some modified cars, soldiers, and major weapons for Black Shadow. They were certain he made the alterations on the Elegance Liberty and the Astro Robber, though he wasn't the one who created the Darkstar Dragon, not to Rick's knowledge. Definitely needs some help from the outside. When he heard that a certain engineer would participate, Beastman decided to volunteer as returning a favor for redesigning the Hyperspeeder. It was a fighter craft during an interplanetary war in white. Back when he's in the ripe age of 48, Dr. Clash was interested in fulfilling his goal and being an F-Zero pilot, just like his own. Ever since the X Grand Prix, Beastman couldn't be any happier. Except maybe actually win a few of them. After receiving the call of duty, sure thing, Tinsel. I owe Dr. Clash a lot. It's been years since I've seen the old-timer. Jack, Tinsel, and Rick raced against him as Leon and Beastman took the rear. The crazy bear was too strong for most of the racers to handle as he was so damn reckless on the track, demolishing anyone he saw. They were nervous they'd be the next bunch of victims in his wrathful wake. It was quite obvious since he was one of Dark Million's most promising mechanics. His machine was a total brute on the course, as Clash had a nearly perfect contraption with an incredibly strong body, a decent boost but bad handling, almost like the Hellhawk they faced earlier, except its first 2 stats were reversed. You know, Abe. The Dragonbird was indeed the first to catch up, fighting the dark impulses as best as he could when he saw him. Clash's eyes were widening and dwindling rapidly. Seeing him struggling, Rick kept speaking to him, encouraging him to resist the urges just as he did after the incident in Whiteland. Clash rammed into him, but he was unable to brake just in time. The pilots were amazed at how he avoided Clash's crash. Not wanting to provoke him further, Rick spoke again. Clash! It's me, Rick! Black Shadow is infecting your mind! You have to strike back! With your genius mind, you're the only one who can do this. Don't let him squander it. Remember us, and fight the darkness from within. Through the intense agony and intrusive voices, he implored only him that he must win and first, otherwise his machine would explode. If it would, everyone near him would be destroyed, and it will affect the whole track. He confessed that he designed the mechanism himself and attached it to his own machine. But why? Why did you do this to yourself? For a time the tech genius composed himself and told Rick in his despair he planted the device on it. He also trapped himself inside the cockpit as he entered the next race. He had no means on escaping. He knew he was far from saving. He never wanted the syringe since he felt he's too far gone. He was very grateful he finally achieved his lifelong dream as an F-Zero pilot, as well as joining the mobile task force. With enough mind power, he was able to have one final flashback to his early years. His name is Theodore Clash, and I'm sure you would find it in the F-Zero wiki, F-Zero profiles. He always called himself as a supertonic geekoid, whatever that is. He was well known as not just an engineer, but also an atomic scientist and an inventor, thus making him a crucial asset to the task force and recently Dark Million. He's an old fan of old-time rock and roll, made the Silver Comet and the Hyperspeeder. Yes, blah 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 blah. He lost against Captain Falcon and Tinsel Steelus, but the rest was history. On the final lap, his willpower continued to waver as the past left him wounded. He had so much to lose, and still the toxins persisted, allowing him to say that Rick must knock him off before the bear blows up. He hoped that Lucy would take his place as an inspiring engineer for the Federation and work with Clank. I must let you go in first. You can't throw your prosperous life away like this. Rick, you have to trust me. Ugh. The 55-year-old held his throbbing head with his human arms, while the mechanical limbs steered, his mind deteriorating in the process. The crazy bear was grinding the side of the course, creating sparks. Clash! It's better this way, unless you are willing to end your life. You are our last hope. I'm counting on you. The galaxy's fate is in your hands, not mine. I'd rather sacrifice myself than lose anyone else, as I did so with Haruka. I admire your valiance, kid. At least that hasn't changed a bit. Meanwhile, Jack and Tinsel wondered why the dragon bird wasn't making a move against the crazy bear. Why isn't Wheeler doing anything? Quit screwing around. Rick, what is going on? As he momentarily kept himself together, he demanded, Tinsel, Jack, you must be able to pass us while I can still deal with Clash. Get as far away as you can. Leon, Beastman, stay far behind me. We'll finish this race. All right, but what the hell is he trying to do? Rick teared up as he saw the detonator flashing. The geeky geezer wasn't fooling around. This was definitely not a prank. Clash begged him to do the unthinkable and the inevitable. Rick, what are you waiting for? Do it. Save me. Now! After a few moments, which almost stretched into an eternity. Goodbye, Clash! He reluctantly used his sight attack and sent him falling. There was a flash and a massive blast shook the course. Jack and Tinsel looked behind them in horror. Wheeler. It can't be! Leon and Beastman spoke over the comm, wondering if they were all right. Tinsel, Jack, can you guys hear me? Are you okay? Do you copy? Yeah. But Rick... Then there was a spark among the thick smoke as the dragon bird emerged. He whizzed between them and the others caught up, wondering who made the explosion. Rick is here! That means... Clash? Cannot. Wheeler, Wait! He was in first, but he slowed after he crossed the finish line. He parked at the side of the track and was very upset. Damn it! Why? Why did you have to die? Jack and Tinsel rushed to the scene. Without saying a word, they knew. Leon and Beastman arrived soon after. It was Dr. Clash, wasn't it? The engineer was gone. Tinsel just couldn't help but cry. Jack was the only one strong enough to acknowledge. Such a deep sacrifice. It's almost inhuman. They escorted Jack, Rick, and Tinsel back to base, never wanting to share their victory. Meanwhile, tear-filled Lucy was watching from the headquarters, and they broke the news to her as the trio arrived minutes later. She was cradled by Jack, while Rick couldn't stand her agony on top of his own and his comrades. He left without a sound, and Tinsel followed suit. It was as if they were all weighed down by layers of cement. Alone, just before she walked up to him, Rick kept contradicting himself. Never should have won and pushed Class to his demise. This proves that Jody was right after all. I am a glory hog. If I hadn't left the task force in danger and let myself be controlled by Black Shadow, none of this would have happened. I wish I could go back in time and prevent everything if given the chance. It wasn't your fault, Rick. You've made a choice. It was either Clash or all of us caught in the crossfire. You said so yourself that Clash was fighting, that he was too far gone. He used his last ounce of strength to warn you this was coming. He wanted to sacrifice himself for us, because he didn't want us killed along with him. Should have let him win that race. And get away with it? He knew this was happening, and he was aware of all of it. So he did what he did. Plus, we all escaped thanks to you. Clash saved you. He saved us all from that horrible fate. Rick, don't blame yourself for this. Stop with your survivor's guilt. There was nothing we could have done otherwise. It would have been far worse. They were later in a brief, warm embrace. During their small funeral, as they were mourning, Dr. Theodore Clash's smiling picture in a frame was at the middle of the counter. He was surrounded by tools and gadgets he made, along with his numerous plaques and awards. The task force band was located in front. There were some leftover flowers surrounding the place setting. Rick was in the center, while Jack was to the left of him, followed by Lucy, and Tinsel was on the right. We must avenge him and honor his loss. They nodded in confirmation and began to hold hands as they reflected. They would miss him as he always modified their machines, and the fact that he created this dragon bird, the hyperspeeder, the silver comet. Dang errors. Ugh. Several hours had passed. Rick eventually found Tinsel inside of the Dimlet Task Force garage. Tinsel? Are you alright? I think so. I sure am gonna miss him. Always. Wonder how we'll manage without him. He sat beside her and wasn't certain either, but he had some hope for Lucy, Clank, and some of the friends she found. She was still upset, but somehow he knew that. Rick, we need to leave. Just the two of us. We can't stay here mourning like this. Where should we go? I need to show you someplace. I'm sure you'll find out when we get there. I hope I will get there in time. In a silver comet, both Rick and Tinsel went through a warp gate taking them to a distant place in Port Town. It was known as the largest and most advanced space harbor and interstellar trading facility. It was surrounded by mountains, and there were some enormous skyscrapers, almost as tall as those in Aeropolis. There were also some pyramid-shaped office buildings and immense rod construction robots operating on two separate buildings. Despite the congestion, Tinsel took her comet to a desolated area. Everything was tranquil and dark, so was the sky. The only lights they saw were nothing more than the twinkling stars above. This is the place? It's Port Town, but I can hardly see anything. Just wait. You'll see soon enough. He saw some distant lights from the city flicker on. Suddenly the track began to illuminate as the guardrails lit up. He noticed they were smack dab in the middle of a racetrack. Why are we here? Aren't you worried some racer might crash into us? No, it's highly unlikely. You see, this track was for the Grand Prix 13 years ago. After that, it was closed down. Sometimes when I need a place to unwind, I go here and gaze at its wondrous glory. I can see why. This course must have been nostalgic to you. Look up. She pointed at the sky, which was covered in so many stars that there were too many to count. Amazingly, they could see every single one without straining their eyes, as there was no light pollution, like the cluttered streets below. Wow. Tinsel, do you mind if you... Oh, certainly. She unlocked the door, and both of the pilots climbed out, sat on the roof, and their eyes adjusted to its magnificence. Crisp air was also a nice touch. Everything's better up here. Indeed. This is the only place where it's peaceful and quiet with little to no traffic, no light or air pollution. We're up really high. No one can sneak up on us. Too bad I couldn't make it in time for the sunset, though. This was definitely a place to relax. It kind of reminded him of his own time in New York, all the buildings glistening in the distance. You know, this is where Captain Falcon lurks, right? I know, but I always come here for this sight alone. I cannot recall exactly. I don't know if this was a dream or not, but I've seen you here, staring up the sky. Never realized how important this place was until just now. Thank you for showing me, Tinsel. He gave a small grin, so did she. His hands moved into her shoulders, inviting her close to him. She leaned in and Rick unwrapped her in his warm arms. He continued to caress her, and she whispered, "I'm glad you came. I don't want you to leave us again. I'm so worried. No, there's nowhere else I'd want to be at this moment, but here, safe with you." He wouldn't want it any other way. Now that he knew that Luca and Clash were watching over him, he too felt secure and calm as well. Soon enough, they were sound asleep together, inside the comet. Day broke, and from a large boom, Rick awakened first. He rubbed sand away from his eyes as he sat up. He eventually yawned and stretched out his weary muscles. By the time he heard the impact again, he went on alert. He unlocked the comet, looked back, and Tinsel barely even noticed. He took out and loaded his Glock as he scouted the perimeter. His instincts told him that Darkmelian and Rosota was up to something here. He wandered around the track, seeing nothing except a few discreet lane mounts and magnets. We're up really high. No one can sneak up on us. He wasn't convinced. He then saw one of the ginormous robots located at the top of some tall building, like a corporation perhaps. He looked down from the track and to his surprise, he was being infiltrated by death soldiers. What's happening? It's Black Shadow. Captain Falcon! He's here. and he's sabotaging one of the mega corporations. They're the heart of Port Town. He did not like the sound of that. Still, Falcon continued. There are many soldiers this time, and I don't think the special forces would hold them off. They seem to be outnumbered and overmatched. Shouldn't we help them? No, it's far too risky. We must evacuate this planet and regroup where it's safer before they catch on to us. Hurry! Follow me! Rick ran after him, then hesitated. Tinsel! He went the opposite direction, heading back to the comet. Meanwhile, she shut herself up as she heard some gunfire and shouting below. She noticed she was the only one in her vehicle. Rick? Rick? Where are you? Rick? Rick, are you there? I'm in my comet. Do you copy? Rick, if you can hear me, please respond. I believe I can answer that, my pretty. Before she had one, she looked up and saw Zoda over her. He silenced her in a moment's pace. The detective returned, following the signal, only to find her vehicle was empty. Tinsel. Tinsel! I have to find her. Sorry, Falcon. He started up the ignition. Thankfully, the key was in her seat. He saw a familiar, dark-looking spacecraft docked just a few feet from the building's scribe. He wondered if Tinsel was being held captive there. Seeing this was tricky, he backed up a few feet away and remembered the ice jet she occasionally uses. He pressed down the button on the handle. The beam shot out and froze a portion of the titanium wall in contact. He rammed in and then ventured through the holes. An alarm was off and he kept bashing through multiple Death soldiers attempting to shoot it. When he was clear, he began to slow to a tread. As he neared the top, he heard an echo ricochet off the walls. He realized it was Tinsel's cries. From his point of view, she was resisting to drink the black vial that once brainwashed her. A familiar face was there, along with a few cronies. That's Zoda! He drew his Glock and waited. He saw her get slapped across the face and the canister was being forced to her mouth. Then she had her hair yanked back as the maniac demanded her to drink it. She managed to see Rick despite the pain. He made some charades, but she barely made them out. The nozzle was dumped as her head was lifted. Then some of the toxins poured into her throat. The residue was leaking from her lips. Don't swallow it! Zoda kept forcing her chin up, then her head drooped. There now. Isn't it easier to just do what we tell you, instead of just harming you and your friends? Now, answer me. Who do you serve? I must obey Zoda. Zoda's enemies! With striking exact precision, Rick was able to shoot each of the soldiers. Those that were standing rushed to him, and he fought them off seamlessly. Only his nemesis was left. Surrender now, Zoda! Wheeler! What a surprise! I suppose the lousy traitor hasn't slipped through our hands then. Now, drop it before I blow her brains out! Rick was petrified. Drop your weapon, Wheeler! Luckily, her knees were free, so she kicked him hard, and he held his leg in agony, dropping his Glock. Rick discarded his own. I've been waiting forever for this. Let's settle it, once and for all. Mani y mano. I can't wait another century and a half to kill you, Wheeler. I'll remedy the error I made on that night. You are mine! Rick raised his hands as Zoda ran to him. He blocked the psychopath's blow and retaliated with a punch. It connected and Zoda backed away a few steps, yet still he was on the warpath. Rick avoided some of his blows until he was hit by his other fist unexpectedly. He was tackled to the ground and he rolled for a few seconds until Rick was able to kick him off. During the melee, Tinsel cautiously headed out, only to return with the comet. She was hoping she'd get an easy target. It got more intense, and they both wore themselves out after 5 minutes, trying to beat the piss and vinegar out of each other, especially Rick, who was panting profusely. As soon as his eyes rolled to the side, Zoda managed to retrieve and aim his Glock and Rick's right at him after he made a quick dive and roll. Isn't this like deja vu, Wheeler? Black Shadow would thank me royally once I am finished with you. You should never have gotten out of Cold Sleep alive, and let your hot-blooded hatred drive you astray. I shall now rectify that mistake quickly. He pointed the guns to his skull. Rick was as cold and unmoving like a real statue. His time to die was here, by this insane monster. Allow me what I should have done to you 150 years ago! Volley of instantaneous freezing ice shot out from the jets of the comet. As soon as his whole body was rock solid, she declared, "It's time for you to go back to cold sleep. Permanently! Now, Rick! Finish him!" He did as he stood and carried the heavy alien popsicle, stopping by a pit. Looking at his spherical gaping mouth, he retorted, "Now look who's afraid and on the verge of death. You definitely deserve this for all the pain and suffering to me and everyone I held dear. Zoda, this 150-year nightmare ends now!" The body just shattered as it hit toward the bottom of the abyss. Still, he was in total shock from the adrenaline as he gazed. I did it. I beat Zoda. No! This startled him. Then he saw her close behind. We did it. Haruka can finally rest now. Not yet. Still have Black Shadow and Luna Rider to deal with. She held his hands. Don't let her intimidate you, whatever you do. I won't. Those were the same words Haruka said to him while he was under anesthesia. Little did Tinsel knew. Suddenly sawdust rained on her from above, and they felt a murmur. Then huge chunks of debris started to fall. They noticed the ship was on self-destruct mode. Let's go! We gotta get out of here! Come on! He immediately unlocked it, and she was the first to jump into the cockpit. Then he went to the back seat just before it was locked. Step on it! She ignited after it did a 360. The silver comet raced within the halls, but a wall of fire was gaining on them. In her perspective, Tinsel thought it was a tsunami made of flames. Then she accelerated as much as her machine could muster. I got your back! Still, the onslaught was on her tails, and the comet can't hold up forever, especially when it crashes into walls and mines. The alarm sounded as more energy was sacrificed to speed it up. Through the radar, the chase was more rampant as the sight darkened. They were just mere inches from it. It's closing on us! Rick volunteered to take the wheel as it took more abuse. He handled it better than she did, but it still wasn't enough. Rick didn't give up as he made one last acceleration before they hit a few speed boosts. Tinsel, we've hit a ramp! Keep your head down! With his head down, Rick held onto the handle which raised the comet's nose. Despite the lighter descent, they slammed onto the unforgiving terrain and collided in a nearby rocky dune. The ship exploded, and Tinsel eventually caught her breath. She shook the unconscious Rick awake, assuring him they went out alive. By the time his head was clear enough, he still took the wheel and started up the comet. Fortunately, it didn't. None of the lights turned on, and the comm was shot. Didn't even leave a slight murmur when he turned the ignition. From all the damage it endured, they were dead somewhere in the mountainous trail. The energy was completely depleted. They were surprised it never blew up on impact. I'm afraid we're stuck here. I would like to call in the Dragon Bird, but we're so far away from Mute City. How are we supposed to get help? Port Town is in total chaos. It's not safe here. Then we have no choice. We're walking from here. We need to get someone to at least give your comet a jump, or perhaps escort us back. She couldn't believe what she'd done, leaving her and Rick stranded on an unknown location without any assistance, as the criminals were taking control in one of the mega corporations. They climbed out and were a few feet away from it until he saw a glimmer in the dusty distance. From an instinct, he drew out his Glock and gave Zoda's to Tinsel. She was very hesitant. Rick, I never used a firearm before. Obviously, this was not much time to teach her, so he just told her to hold it firmly. He figured the safety was already turned off. As he adjusted his vision, a blue machine whizzed toward them. He immediately stopped and a pilot jumped out. Captain Falcon! Thank goodness! Are any of you hurt? No, we're fine. We managed to escape from Zoda's ship. The Silver Comet. Falcon went past them and inspected it. He too was perplexed that it never exploded since it was so beat and it was completely out of fuel. Wait here. I'll give the Comet a jump. He drove the Blue Falcon closer and stretched out some of the wires from the hood. He started it and gave up half of its energy. Luckily, he had its full tank and the rainbow bar kept dissipating until it reached the red-orange area. After about 10 minutes, he offered Rick to activate the Doom craft. It kicked in. However, it sounded a little noisier as it turned. It seems the comet is hanging in there by a thread. This should only be a temporary fix, at least until we get to Mute City where it's safer. Thanks so much. We couldn't have left this place alive without you. Still, we have to hurry. Dark Million can find us. Let's go. He immediately entered his vehicle and she came into hers. Rick was in charge of it, though. The trio headed out of Port Town at last through the closest warp gate the bounty hunter could find. They were thankful that he knew every nook and cranny of that enormous, congested place. The jolt was just enough to get to headquarters. When the comet became neutral again, it gave way. There was still some energy left, but it was too beat up to start again. During the night, Falcon repaired the critical damage with Clank and Lucy in the garage. It was so extensive that Tinsel may not compete in the next few races. At least that's what he theorized. Rick and Jack promised to take up the slack, although they were welcome to invite Leon, Beastman, Drac, Rigomar, and Shio in case they needed backup. Of course, everyone was aware that Luna and company would be there along with Mr. EAD at the Cosmo Terminal. Thanks to Clank's analysis, Cosmo Terminal. Fortunately, it wasn't until about a week, which gave the task force some time to mourn over a clashing train. After the young mechanics left, Falcon also wished that the tech geek was here as well, thinking how far they went. From the original Grand Prix 13 years ago when they first met, to Classish participation in the X races, to Falcon's brief visit at a distant bar in Mute City with Iron Silver, where he disguised himself as Famicom, and his time when he saved Clash from Black Shadow's captor. He would definitely be missed dearly forever. By the time he looked into the comet's hood again, something glowing caught his eye. It was in a circular container, almost looking like a big Pokeball. Well, at least that's how I describe it. Last time he didn't notice as he was in a hurry. This time discovered something peculiar. Reactor mite? He was all agog by the sight of it. He was familiar with it, as there was one inside his own vehicle. Never thought Clash's prototype would also have one. Just out of curiosity, he examined the Allegan's Liberty, then the Astro Robin, and lastly the Dragon Bird, where there was that same one. He locked his eyes onto it, thinking, Rick Wheeler. He's the one who will put an end to Black Shadow. He has to help me do this. Otherwise, there is no way. If I could just tweak his Dragon Bird, perhaps I'll train him to use it properly. He should do this. No, he must do this. Of course, this is going to be the same original Falcon, Douglas J. Falcon, not Burt Lemming or Adam Summer like it was in an anime. Yes, GP Legend is all three of those characters, but to me it's kind of awkward. I want Jody's brother to exist as Burt in disguise, but Falcon will be Douglas J. Falcon, not Jody's lost sibling. So, this fig is obviously a war fix, so of course there's going to be some sacrifices. He committed suicide, and don't get me wrong, don't kill me for this. I like Dr. Clash. Well, mostly in the anime, not the games. I'm not too crazy about the crazy bear. But he decided as using the dying as yourself trope. So I decided to use that. Also, I like the part when Tinsel and Rick visited Port Town, when she showed me the astonishing sight as they began to bond with each other. I actually like the background in Port Town. Believe it or not, when I saw this as a kid, I was at a park once, and I saw the sunset with the red and the vermilion clouds in the back, and it kind of actually made me think of Port Town. Believe it or not, I actually like the original version over everything else. Very beautiful, I gotta say. I wish I could hear a more tranquil song of Port Town as well. So, Dr. Clash is known to make the Hyperspeeder, the Silver Comet, the Dragon Bird, and I'm guessing the Blue Falcon. You'll find out what the Dragon Bird EX is soon, but if you've seen the anime, then you would know. Also, fun fact, the wall of flames actually reminded me of the tsunami from Undersea Adventure, which was extremely terrifying. I don't know, maybe I'll show a link to that. But yeah, when I was a kid, Jesus. Man, it was horrible. So Falcon made an amazing discovery within the Silver Comet and the Dragon Bird. Found a reactormite in each machine which was similar to the one in his vehicle. What does this mean? Well, you're going to have to find out later. And I would imagine Dr. Clash and Lucy to have the same relationship as, like Sid and Luca from Final Fantasy IV The After Years, but I'm not really into that. And it reminds me of Chapter 5 from Save Jody, so yeah. Alright, there you have it. Lap 8 is done. Well, actually lap 9. Lap 9 is done. So, next time, what would Falcon discover of the new reactor mites? What are they? And why did all three of those machines each have one? Did Dr. Clash actually plan this? Well, find out next time.